Home is a place.
No. Home is a feeling.
Home is my motherland.
It's more where you feel alive and inspired.
Well, I think we're talking about the same thing, aren't we? Home is where our story begins.
What's your story?
Homesick at Home every Friday from 9 to 10 p.m.
on Radio Van 103.1 with Ina MK
and Rina D.
Shot City. I'm coming home again.
Good evening, dear ladies and gentlemen, listeners of Radio Van. This is Homesick at Home, our English-speaking show. And we're back here with Rina D, my lovely co-host, and of course our new guest who's going to share his story. His name is Datev Karjian. Good evening, Datev.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
Okay.
Good. Nice.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello, Ina.
Did you have a good week?
It was quite good, yes. I had a
Busy?
very old friend visiting from the States.
So where did you guys go?
Oh, where did we go? Where didn't we go?
Yerevan.
Only Yerevan? Garni, Gerard, Sevan.
Done all that.
Come on, guys. You should
He
come.
went by himself.
Okay.
I mean, with other friends. So
Yeah, I took a few trips with a few friends. Yeah.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. Where were you born, raised?
Aleppo, Syria, initially.
Mm-hmm.
Then Beirut, Lebanon. Then for a while in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Then back. Then back to Lebanon for a year.
Wow.
Then to the U.S. for a few years.
Mm-hmm. And
back
now?
back to Australia for a few years.
back and forth.
Then to East Coast of the U.S. and now on the West Coast of the U.S.
So where's the next stop?
$1 million question. That needs a little bit more than just this 1 hour. So we don't know. We'll see.
So it's nice because you get to go wherever you want, right?
Well, you don't really, but you make it happen.
This is a decision you've made to kind of move around, or
It wasn't my idea to keep moving. It's just life and life's events and possibilities and opportunities. And it's not always the best option, but it's an option or a possibility you have to take or entertain. So you do. You plan one thing, something else happens.
But to ask a question, what do you miss the most about your home? We need to first understand where is your home.
Correct. And I knew you were going to ask that.
And what is
and
home
I'm going
eventually?
I'm going to probably confuse you or disappoint you. The concept of home is a very vague thing for me. Mm-hmm. It's most people feel, I guess, that home is where you are and where you feel comfortable. But home for me as a diaspora Armenian is a very elusive
Mm-hmm. Why
thing.
is that? Why?
Well, because, as an Armenian born in another country, and that country was a home, but then you, as an adult, you have different feelings, and you realize that it is a home, but it's not really a home, and then
you find a new home?
Which is not maybe a home, maybe an imitation of a home, and then another one, and that becomes the imitation of another. It's not that solid. For some people who have been born in one ethnic group, inside a country that's dominantly that ethnic group, went to university with that group and got old with that group, that's their home. Mm-hmm. Most of us are not like that.
So you're actually saying you've never had that feeling of home?
Honestly, yeah.
Do you miss any ethnic groups that you've been around? And where is it? Which one?
She's smart, isn't she?
Well, it's not about ethnic groups. It's about location and your feeling of connectedness to the land, right? Mm-hmm. That's home. Is that a good definition?
We're
roughly?
asking you. You're asking us.
So if that's
be.
well, I'm trying to establish a standard before we can. So if that's sort of the.
There are lots of standards, believe me, that we heard in
Yeah,
this
but
studio.
we don't do that here. We don't go for standards.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know?
Higher than standard, or should we go substandard? What do you want?
We want what
Anything
you
you feel like.
you think. It's
Well, I was just going to tell you. So for me, home would be a huge sense of belongingness to the land and to the people. And I just have a few different homes in that way, if that's the standard, because I feel a connectedness to my birthplace, Syria, Aleppo. I feel a connectedness to this land. And I've only, in whole my life, I've spent less than a month in this country, in Armenia, but I have this huge connection.
What about Australia then?
I have that.
Okay, let's put it this way. What do you miss the most about the country when you're not there? Speaking of Armenia, Syria, Australia.
That feeling, if we can call it homesickness,
Yeah,
you know?
like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you miss lavash.
For instance, well, I don't miss
That's a
things.
standard right there.
Well,
Don't do that.
That's why
Don't do that.
That's why I did that. So he gave us the different answer. Okay.
I don't miss things particularly. I miss people and things of life, if I can say that. For instance, in Aleppo, I miss the lifestyle of Aleppo. I miss the simplicity of Aleppo. I miss the warmth of Aleppo, which we used to have. I mean, sadly, it's probably gone now, or changed at least, not gone fully. I miss the Aleppo that took in, simple Aleppo, that took in a bunch of pieces of people, our grandparents, and accepted them, became one with them, and allowed them to be their own. And that you can't do in many places. That Aleppo I miss. And in like Australia, I miss some things about Sydney, you know.
Like what?
The scenery.
The kangaroos, of course.
Kangaroos, yeah. Every night you hug one, you go to bed.
By the way, Datev and I have been friends for 30 years.
Yeah. When is your anniversary? What's the date?
I don't know.
It should have been after August because you came.
Actually, yeah, yesterday we were talking at dinner.
Talking about this.
I arrived in Sydney August of 88.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, you and I met through Armenian circles.
Yeah, so
as friends. We were a whole big group at that point.
It should be around this time.
Actually,
period.
yeah. What are we? We're October.
No, we're November.
Oh,
now.
November. Yeah. Gosh. When
So
you're
it
a
should
tourist.
be around this time,
So
you
she
know.
just slided into your life.
Yeah.
Like music.
Yeah, something like that.
And dangerous like
Stop it.
fireworks. Okay, we're gonna go on an advertisement break and soon come back
She
with
does this twice.
more questions for Datev. Stay tuned. This is Homesick at Home, and we're here for another 15 minutes.
Ռեն, խի ուշացար, պրիտոմ չզանգեցիր, պրոպկա էր։
Հայերեն խոսիր հասկնամ։
Ռեն, ինչու ուշացար, ընդ որում չզանգահարեցիր, խցանում էր։ Ինչեր? Never mind.
Չէ, ասե ինչ էր։
This isn't gonna work. Typical repeat.
Oh, here she goes again.
And I'll be doing it every Friday with you on Radio Van. Homesick at home.
Homesick at Home. We're back in our studio. Yes, I'm doing it every Friday night.
But you can't do it without me.
Yeah, and right now I'm surrounded by Spurkahai diasporan Armenians. And, okay, I have a typical local Armenian question for you. I bet this is not the first time you're asked, but Datev.
Yeah.
Datev. I have at least two friends. And their name.
That's all.
Let me guess.
You just have two friends.
Let
no,
me guess.
their name is Datev.
Okay.
And they are girls.
Yeah, I know.
So, do you
Oh,
have
you know
anything
them.
to tell? Do you want to talk about it?
You know, I remember the first time I came to Yerevan. The first day I walked out of the apartment where I was staying, and I went to a cafe, barely open. Eventually, they made some breakfast for me after some drama. Because it was apparently 8:30 was too early because they weren't used to serving breakfast at 8:30. This is
True.
17, 18 years ago. And a little girl I think maybe the daughter, somehow wanted my name, and she thought it was hilarious. And that night I wrote my parents an email. I said, it's wonderful. There's a number of benefits of being in Armenia that you only have to say your name once. That was the only way in the world where I had to say it once. But the downside was everybody laughed. So it turns out that for us in Western Armenians, for us, Datev is for man, Datevik is for woman. And it's not a very common name, but that's how it goes. I mean, I guess in the East, you guys have decided to use the name only for females, so there's no need to have the IG.
We lost it.
Yeah.
And why have you guys done that?
Yeah, we'd like to know.
I have to start some investigation.
Yeah, as a representative, can you answer the question?
I will. I will give a report later, next Friday.
This will be exclusive
I'll be
on
watching.
radio.
Why did we lose Datev? Why?
Ig. That's right.
The egg.
And
You lost the ig.
Ig.
It would have been cuter. Come on.
Ig. Where are you? Okay. We learned this lesson, and now nobody will ever laugh at Datev.
Oh.
Do you guys hear me?
This was Ina ordering Armenians.
Yeah, and you better hear this message.
And I'm not the only one in Armenia, by the way.
You know.
Datev Sirpazan in Echmiadzin. He's there.
Yeah,
That's why. Yeah. Why don't they question him about?
Well,
you're not allowed to laugh at Sirpazan.
That's right.
Okay,
Well, you can question him.
no question.
Well, he's Western Armenian, so he came from the diaspora years ago. Anyway.
So why America? What did you do there?
Again, it was
Studies, or-
it was a project where I wanted to go to Boston for a year to study something, and then life changed. I needed my parents moved to the States, retired from the Middle East. I needed some I had some treatments, medical, etc. Life just took me to a direction where I thought, okay, I'll stay in the US for an extra year, and that 1 year turned into 2, and then I went back to Australia, where I was hoping to end up, at least for the next decade, say, at that point. And that wasn't available. 9/11 happened in the US.
I was there.
Yeah, were you? Yeah, I was too. I was in New York, and I wasn't yet a citizen, so traveling got very difficult. So things changed. One thing led to the next. I got a job offer in New York, and in the end, I ended up staying. It's just circumstances of life.
So do you often say yes to the circumstances?
I
I can tell from the short story that I heard that you're really flexible
This
with
is a
life.
trick question. This is a
I
trick
mean,
question.
do you
This is a
say
trick
yes
question.
I know.
to the changes in your life, or
these
Arena.
days,
Arena, go get some water?
I'm just saying this is a trick question. Trick question. I have water.
so I've become more flexible now than I was then, because I've learned a few things about life, I think. But back then, no, I was always like this woman here, battling life more.
That one? That curly, that curly one?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us what you do? What is?
I'm in the music field. I studied. I had a hobby in a long time ago, which involved pianos. I loved acoustic pianos, and I studied piano technology in Boston. And I then got a job at Steinway and Sons, which is one of the better companies in the world for handmade piano manufacturers. And these days, I do a few things, but one of the main thing I do is it's sort of like almost a consulting in piano business, because I work with a lot of professional musicians.
If you only knew who his clients are. He's going, no.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
We a lot of times I consult, because buying a handmade instrument for a lot of money, it could be $100,000. There are other options. So, but to do that, these clients they go on a search to buy the right instrument. For instance, a concert hall. Not every concert hall is going to go straight to Steinway and Sons and buy a brand new piano. Some will, and others will do. We have a search, schools, halls, etc. And so in this field, I'm sort of an expert, and
so this is how you're connected to music. But who are your clients? This is
a lot of individuals. I have a lot of.
Arena added some intrigue to this.
I have most of my customers are piano majors who studying in some university piano performance. Others are professors who are teaching those kids. Some of them are institutions. I'm working with a university right now. I'm working with an older gentleman right now who at 73, he's returning to the piano as a passion. And he's a very wealthy man, and he wants a particular kind of piano with a particular projection in the bass.
A piano that plays for himself.
No, that is an added benefit if you want to. That's actually an electronic, it's a player system that we can add to the instrument. Yeah. But it's not the piano that does that. It's a machine that's added to the piano. Yeah. But this client, for instance, wants a particular kind of a Steinway instrument, which has a particular kind of bass, which I finally figured out what he wants, and we're looking for, this will be a search.
So you're kind of a piano psychologist.
Many times
they finally figured out what they want.
And many times a psychologist for the pianist, because they're confused about what they want.
Yeah. What is music?
An outlet, an expression, a way to express your something you want to say. Like I'm talking to you, I could be musically doing it, singing, dancing, whatever.
Do you love singing?
I like singing, yes, quite a bit.
Any secret talents that you could share with us?
Not much secrets these days.
No?
These days?
Yeah, like I said, after you surrender, secrets. Once you stop battling.
Okay, Datev, this isn't your first visit to Armenia, right?
No, this is my third visit.
When was
But the last one was a long time ago, was in 2006.
What changes do you see now?
Oh, yeah, good question. It's more cosmopolitan, if I can use that word. It's more, of course, it's more congested, more people from the outside, especially in these, I think, months of vacation months. And we're just about at the end of it, I think. Yeah. But it's still busier than I've seen it in my past visits. And I'm seeing a lot more expats, a lot more languages on the street. I've been shocked in this past week, the amount of ethnic groups I've seen. I mean, in the past, I've never seen Asian tourists in U.S. and in Armenia.
We're in Armenia.
Correct. Thank you. I hadn't seen large group of.
Welcome to Armenia.
Thank you.
This is Armenia.
I know. Well, Rena being here,
around.
I got confused sometimes this week of where we are, where we're talking about.
He still thinks he's in Australia. He's seeing me in front of him. He's like.
It gets confusing when you live in many places. But.
And this is the end of the touristic season, by the way. We had a lot more tourists.
Yeah. 2 million I hear. This year I heard it's broke a record of 2 million people.
Back. Yeah.
Which is fabulous. So that's one big change.
What do you think about New Armenia?
If Armenia strikes a good balance, I think, this is my personal opinion, and creates a new Armenia that's harmonious between, and because I feel some tension, just being here a week, if that's addressed and appropriately managed, I think it could be very beautiful. But if it's not addressed and it's sort of let loose, it could divide and it could lead to more tension. And I don't really know how to fix that. But already in this past week, I met a few people who are here from outside other countries, let's say Syrian-Armenians, right? One of them says something to the effect of, my children are now confused and I don't want them to be, so I tell them to behave this way, not that way. Because all of a sudden there's this mentality of us and them. Well, hold on a minute. You're here to
Yeah.
assimilate and unite, but he being, in like 50-year-old or something, can't get there yet. His 5-year-old, 7-year-old has already been there because that's all he knows, the little kid. But the parent is introducing tension without realizing he's thinking he's doing the right thing. So these are cultural things.
I think it's generation thing.
Yes.
Because the younger generation, I just all of a sudden remembered Gakach, who was our previous guest.
Right.
Marina's daughter, and she said, at first I couldn't assimilate, or I couldn't adapt to a new mentality or new reality that I got in. But then later I changed my approach and my attitude, and managed to do that without changing myself. So it's all about approach and all about the attitude, because at the end of the day, wherever you go, there is their own thing that you just have to get used to.
And this is a new culture. We're creating a new culture.
The younger generation.
Seriously.
Even a new country.
This integration is a new culture.
The younger generation is much more flexible.
Of course.
That's why they manage to do it easily.
Yes.
Okay, so pianos, music, what else? What do you do for fun?
Do you have fun?
It's tough. I
break pianos.
I have a lot of fun with my 10-year-old daughter. A lot of fun. I have also a little bit of fun with some charity things. I help out a friend who owns a musical society. I'm involved in doing, whenever I have time, in doing activities for that institution. Yearly couple of concerts, then monthly meetings, and then activities, regular stuff. We're now building a new section to the institution. So I have that. I do a little bit of traveling, go back and forth between East Coast and West Coast for work and family. I have my mother in the East, so whenever I have time, I juggle things. There's not a whole lot of time when you live in a big city in the U.S. It just is not a lot of time. Life is busy, and we lose a lot of time in traffic. We lose a lot of time in the rush of life.
And do you think it's somewhat different here?
It seems to me.
Do you feel more relaxed, laid back when you're
what
here?
happened? I'll give you an example. Happened today. I was by myself walking from Hrabarak, Republic Square, on Apovian, and there were a bunch of kids in front of the Kino. Is that what do you call
Kino
that?
Mosque.
Kino Mosque, yeah. And there were a bunch of men. So one of the guys standing next to me I said something, I think, and we started talking. And I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I came to spend some time with my daughter." I said, "Well, do you not work?" And he said, "I do." I said, "But you're here." He said, "Well, I told my boss I need half an hour, and I just walked because it's here. And my home is in that direction, 5 minutes, and my daughter is here in 5 minutes, and I can't do that. For me to do that, you know what I'd have to do?
Reschedule.
Well, 22 miles this way, 22 miles that way, and 3 weeks in advance notice to the teacher. And I mean, it's it's a different reality.
Yeah.
So time wasted, quote unquote,
time and
is,
space is much different.
So this is one of the advantages here.
perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What about? I mean, you've been here for a few days. What have you seen that disturbs you here?
Yeah, we've talked about it.
That's why I'm asking.
You guys are
You know,
cheating.
Well,
Well,
you like social issues. We've been friends so long. We've talked about many things.
Okay.
we
You know.
invited you. You didn't join us.
I knew this was coming.
Well, one of the biggest things, especially if tourists are going to keep coming here, is this smoking issue. I notice. It's sort of, I'm not against the whole idea, but when everywhere you go as a tourist, there's smoke, and the smell of smoke is difficult. I actually had to sometimes leave a little bit and come back into wherever because it was too much for me. And I'm tolerable.
Well, actually, they're working on this law, accepting this law.
Perhaps. I mean, I'm very disturbed when I'm seeing kids smoke. I mean, the other day, having lunch in one of the malls, kids next to us were sitting. I think they were off from school last week. So 11, 12-year-olds, 5 of them were sitting next to us. 3 were smoking. And they are kids. I mean, my daughter is that age. I would never accept that. And
they'd have trouble if their parents saw them.
Yeah, but they have access.
Yeah.
It's cheap, and there's no education of it, I think. It seems to me. For instance, I mean, I don't know why this is not... It was the same 20 years ago, by the way, when I first came. No, I don't know if anybody hasn't done anything about it, or it's just nothing's going to be done about it, but something has to be done, because the life expectancy of that 11-year-old is greatly reduced by the time he is 40.
Yeah,
and what generation are we bringing?
Forbidden.
I mean, at 40, he smoked more than somebody in his 50s in the western part.
They're working on these law regulations, and it raised a lot of debates. But at the end of the day, we're going to have that thing
Anything
fixed.
else?
Something has to be done about it. I'm no expert in this. I just noticed that coming from outside, this will be an issue. And then the other thing we were talking about is customer service. You know, it's a bit behind. The culture is such, it seems to me, that in the service industry, the concept...
Where did you take this guy? I mean,
Everywhere.
Rena.
Well, you know...
And now he's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
To talk about it.
It's a little bit lacking, and I think we might lose tourists with this kind of thing, because a lot of people who come here, they can go to any country they want. And if things happen to them that sort of happened to me it doesn't matter. I will come here regardless. That's not an issue. But, you know, a visitor from Costa Rica who is used to...
We don't have visitors from Costa Rica.
I mean, you know, we're giving examples.
We have
Of course you do.
visitors from everywhere.
Let's go check the numbers.
But
I'm sure you do.
Could you share the situation?
For instance, I got to a... No,
More
let's not name
specific.
names. No. So I get to a place where it's a front desk. And I stand there. I say, what is this? Say, I'd like to do this, this, this. There's no answer. He's not even barely acknowledging me. So he leaves. So I'm waiting to say, okay, does that mean no? Does that mean yes? I'd like some kind of thing.
Okay.
Answer. Comes back. And then a Russian man enters the picture. He has another transaction. Now, that guy, you know, his business is delayed because of me. My business is delayed because of him. But there's no acknowledgement. There's no yes, there's no no.
There's no excuse me.
It's sort of nothing. And the same happens in restaurants. You ask for something, and they looked at me without a yes or no, and they go. So there's no acknowledgement. And then when I press the button more, say, hey, I asked you something. May I know what's going on? I get yelled at because now I'm the rude one. You know.
Really?
Yeah, it was a few of these. You know, the thing is, we come from different perspectives.
Well, but it's this thing. I mean, it's getting less and
Yes,
less, and
yes.
this is much better now. And if you come upon such situation, you should talk. This is what I do,
course.
because people back, like few years back, people were ashamed, or I don't know, they thought that it wouldn't do any good to talk to the
Right.
manager or to complain or do things
Right.
like this. And now there is a great practice of rating, I don't know,
Yes.
rating the restaurant or this
Yes.
and that place,
Yeah.
talking about this, leaving comments, talking to the manager. So
Yeah.
this is what I would recommend you to do, and everyone else, the people living here, not to stay indifferent, because this is what people have learned, that when they unite and when they each of us, if we work on this kind of things, if people have problems.
No.
I mean, working in service especially,
That's
they will
especially
learn.
that. Exactly.
Yeah, they will learn, and
I mean, I had the
the
exchange.
level of the service will become better and better.
The man at the exchange location where I was exchanging currency, he yelled at me when I asked for smaller denominations. Okay, but it's not excusable, but let's give him that for a minute. But when I go to a hotel or a high-end restaurant, the customer walks in, the concept of I'm here by the establishment, I'm here to serve this person, is very different than it is in most of the West.
Yeah.
That person, what message I'm getting from that person is, I'm here, I'm going to do my job, don't like it, leave. That's not service. That's me being there.
True.
Service is different. Service is where you go the extra mile. And then that person feels like, I'm not only getting good service,
special.
I'm respected, and I'm acknowledged,
Of course.
and I'm valued. That's what we're missing.
Yes.
Well,
true.
of course, the problem is still there, but we also have a lot of good places.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
Uh,
And you know
Change
where
is
the good
coming.
places
with good
were?
service.
Generally, the better ones were the younger kids who were serving.
That's
Generally.
again,
which
the
goes
younger
to
generation.
the
course.
credit of what you were saying earlier.
And by the
Yeah.
way, we have a lot of good places which are established by diaspora and Armenians.
Yeah,
They take a good care of their management, their service, and
Because the
They're really
concept of
good.
Okay.
service is a bit different in the places they've lived, from the places they are. Yes.
so you're taking me there tonight.
the rudeness and these kind of things are just Soviet leftovers. Yeah, it's
Get rid of them. Get
Oh, come
rid of
on.
them.
No, not all. It wasn't all bad.
It's true. It's true. It's really like that. But we will get rid of that pretty soon, I think.
I sort of disagree. It wasn't all that bad. But
Okay. Do you have a favorite place in Armenia, like a region?
is that a
Don't-
serious question?
Don't say Datev.
Yeah,
Please
what
don't
else do you
say
want me to
that.
say?
I understand. I love Datev.
Actually, it is a
beautiful.
special place. Forget my name for a minute. It's haven't been there in 10 years or so, but boy,
It's a really strong spiritual
Yeah.
place
yeah,
where you get power
the
and you
energy.
get reloaded and
I can even do that by looking at the pictures I took. I'm serious.
means you
Wow.
found a place which charges you.
My
It's really
goodness.
important.
And recently I sent a video of a choir. Somebody sent me this video of a choir singing outside, recorded last year or so. A choir singing outside of Datev. And I sent that video to a dear friend of mine who's a musician, a very, very talented pianist. And he said the same thing. He's never been to
Oh.
Armenia. I'm trying to bring him here next summer. And he called and said, I not only did he connected, he just felt being there.
Wow.
It's got something with some of us.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Datev, talking about all this, what inspires you in life?
Truth, peace, goodness.
Did you hear that, girl?
I'm writing that down.
Taking notes, taking notes.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that big a deal.
Okay, tell us, how did you earn your first salary? Do you remember?
First salary.
Yeah.
Oh my. We're going back to when we were kids in Sydney.
When I was young, so much. Younger
Yeah,
too.
30 years ago. My first salary must have been, yes, I remember. I worked, you might remember, I worked in a gas
Right.
station.
And
I
then
was
I,
a student.
remember we went out. You took me out for lunch. The next day,
I did?
think, yes, we had lunch because of your salary.
Oh my, I don't remember that. Was it the gas station?
We didn't have lunch at the gas
No,
station.
Because I
Yes,
Worked
yes.
at the gas station. He worked at the gas station.
I did. And it was my first serious
I
job.
remember that. She doesn't. Okay, keep
You just
going.
remember what you heard like a minute before. That's it.
I forgot about the lunch, but yeah, we had a lot of coffees and things. We were a group of friends and we hung out a lot.
It would be so interesting if one of those friends are listening right now. They can kind of write us a few sentences.
Ooh.
We are live now.
Let me check. Let me see the video.
So,
If we have
working
any
at the gas
comments.
station, that was
I
the
was.
first salary.
I think so.
Okay.
At least my serious job. Night shifts and things like
Datev.
that. Yeah.
Who has played a significant role in your life?
Some people have. The biggest would be my daughter. She's the center of my life, really. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, we're touched and paused.
Datev, would you say you're a romantic?
Yeah.
What's your sign?
Sign?
Star sign.
When is your birthday?
Ah. Okay. I don't know much about that, but I am a Capricorn.
Okay.
Why did you move your head like that?
Like what?
It was like you understood something. We want to know. Tell us. Everyone wants to know.
Inquiring minds.
Datev, five things you love about Armenia.
I love some of the countryside scenery. I love the fact that Yerevan is small enough that you can walk everywhere. I love the fact that I hear Armenian everywhere I go. That's special. I mean, certain neighborhoods of Los Angeles you can, but it's not the same.
No, we have a friend from Belarus, and she doesn't have any Armenian roots, and she comes to Armenia every now and then. And she was here like a few days ago, I think 2 days ago, and she when we started to speak Armenian with each other, like at the kitchen, just chatting with each other, she goes like, "Oh, I missed this sound. Please keep talking." Like, keep talking. I don't understand a thing, but I want to hear this. So,
Well, it's a different music.
Yeah, it's interesting how people hear Armenian.
So you mentioned 3.
Yeah.
Do you have more?
I love the fighting spirit that I see, like the revolution you guys just had. Bloodless revolution, as you know, we said, we called it in the West, and that was the headline, and that was beautiful to see because
It's a real awakening in people
Yes.
right now. Yeah.
it wasn't violent, and that's the way it should be, and it just proved to the world that that's what it was. It was passionate
That
and
it's
powerful.
possible.
Yes.
so-
That was beautiful, and then comes the resilience because you revolution is one, but then you have to be resilient enough to absorb that impact, you know,
Yeah.
and to be strong enough to give a punch, but to absorb the momentum. That's resilience, I think, and then I see that. So it didn't collapse; it just brought in the change, and now it's letting the process take its time because it can't be in one. It's a process. So
Talking about change, what do you think Armenia needs?
It needs a forward-thinking government, for one. It needs a society that is based on fairness and unity.
That's
And-
one of the hardest things
It is hard.
We can do it.
for these people.
We can do it.
Well, the thing is, there are experts in these fields, and that's why you have governments. And
Yeah.
that's why governments have departments and they have different ministries, right? So this can be done. It's just got to be done with care because we can fragment very easily or we can come together in a more difficult way.
We witness things that would never think can be done. So
Right.
now we believe in anything.
Right.
It's
Right.
everything is possible.
Right.
So this is the change that you kind of want for Armenia. What about something you would change about yourself?
Myself,
Yes.
I'm just about that place in my life where just recently I've decided that I need to start living my life a little bit more for me. It's so far for the last decade, it's been mostly for my daughter, and it's sort of got to change. That's the biggest thing I've got to do. So this trip is part of that whole process. After this, I need to find a way to continue this momentum so I can have my journey within the journey of my daughter and I.
What is love?
What is
What is love?
love?
Here she goes again.
Baby, don't hurt me.
Okay, I won't.
Have you ever read this so-called letter by Einstein to his daughter?
I think yes.
It's not proven that he wrote it, but it's okay. What does it say about love? Do you remember?
You quote.
It says something about I don't remember it word by word, but something about,
Neither of you remember. Why talk about it? You don't remember.
because I remember the spirit of it very well. He's telling
always
his
do
daughter.
this, Tom.
You're doing it.
So what's the spirit of it?
The
The essence of it.
That the relativity, the theory of that he established. He says there is a power much bigger than that, and in the end, it turns out
It's love.
It's love. So what he calls, and I mean, I'm not saying he's the only one who has an answer, but I'm using that as an example. Is that it's the most powerful force on the planet? It makes the planet go around. Is that a good enough explanation?
So is love
Great.
that for you? That you've felt that that's what it means as well for you?
It's probably the most.
Something bigger that we can explain.
Well, it's a very, very powerful force if it's true. But it could be extremely destructive if it's pretending to be love. It's sort of like people. You meet people who are pretending to be your friend, they can destroy you.
That's right.
And yet you can meet people who absolutely do this out of genuine giving, and they will help you rise up. I think it's principally the same.
Do you think there is a kind of love given by a friend or I don't know, wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever,
Right.
that is given from out of the best intentions, but can it still destroy you?
If the intention is the best, why would it destroy you? Unless you're unable to accept. It's possible, but it can be, I guess. But sort of, if the love is genuine enough, wouldn't that love help you also heal and deal with it? But then the person receiving it should be healthy enough to accept.
What have you been reading?
What do you mean?
What are you reading lately?
Right now?
Yeah.
I read. Do you know Shantaram?
Shantaram.
Shantaram. I don't even know how to pronounce it in English. Shantaram. It's about India. It's a great book. I'm reading it right now. It's really, really. I'm really smacking it. I don't want it to.
Okay, one of
finish.
those.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the last book you read?
Last
Rina
book-
has started an interview.
Yes.
for
both
both
of
of
you.
us.
Last book I read, I just finished on the plane right here. It's a technical book. It's about pianos and things like that. But one that you could connect with maybe before that. Hold on. I've read a few. I'm messing up the sequence here. But one that. Well, recent one was The Power of Now. I discussed it with
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Who's the author?
Eckhart Tolle, German.
Power of Now.
The Power of Now. It's pretty well known, but it's been a decade or so since he wrote it. But,
By the way, this Shantaram was written by an Australian author. His name
I
is
don't know about
Gregory David Roberts. And Shantaram means a peaceful person. And let us accept the fact
Shantaram.
of the advertisement break peacefully.
Shantaram.
Stay tuned. This is Homesick at Home. We'll be back here with you for another 7 minutes, I guess. So if you have questions to our guests, you can go ahead and write comments on our Facebook page, which is Radio Van FM 103.1. And also, if you have the access, if you don't have an access to your frequency, you can go ahead and watch us live on our official website, which is www.radiovan.fm. And also, do not forget about our application. You can download it and listen and watch us anywhere you go. Homesick at Home. Stay tuned.
Ina,
Yes, Rena.
I feel homesick.
You want to talk about it?
This Friday,
Every Friday on Radio Van.
homesick at home. Homesick at home.
Homesick at Home. We're back with Datev. Ayo.
Yes.
Yes. How are you?
Very well.
Rena's telling me not to ask this question at the end of the show.
Yes.
And I think she's being really rude. Okay. Did you feel comfortable?
I'm very comfortable.
In
I'm
the
enjoying
studio.
it, actually.
Okay.
This is a fun place.
Did you like our questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Do you have questions for us?
Questions. I'm wondering, did you get any questions online from people?
Right now? Okay, let me
Right
check.
now. Right now.
And while
Right now.
I'm double checking, let's ask another question. Do you believe in fate or luck?
Faith or luck? Luck is faith. Yes, luck is sort of a very
Not
for me.
faith, but fate.
Oh, fate with
Yeah.
a T. Okay, fate or luck depends on how you define fate. Yes and no. If it's
Like everything that happens with us was meant to be, and that it's all predecided. And
predestined, you mean?
Yeah, predestined.
Yeah, I
and
don't
we
believe in predestination. In Christianity there's the doctrine of Calvinism, for instance, that teaches predestination. It's contradicting to me because I do believe in free will. So that is sort of difficult one for me to accept, especially with the experiences of life. But fate, it seems to me that is something that is given to anybody in life. We all have it, but it's not something that's completely out of our hands.
So we've got some tools to manage it. Yeah.
Well, I think our decisions are some of those tools, and it's not something that's written that you cannot change, in my opinion, because you make changes in your life and you guide your own life. It doesn't mean you're never going to have problems, or that's a separate issue. But typically, fate and predestination to me clash with the freedom of choice, which I believe we all have.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. So what is your... Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Yes,
You go ahead.
I'll have a bonus here because you guys interact out of air, I guess.
Okay, so go ahead. You're trying to tell me.
Okay. I need to make a call again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can I guess the number?
What is your most valued trait in people? Trait of character.
Of character about other people. I really love when I feel that people are completely honest with me. And it opens up doors to many other things, even if we don't have the same interests and the same lifestyle and the same value system, even or capabilities. That still opens up doors. But if it's convoluted and untruthful, it's going to show up anytime, very soon, generally. and I just don't see any possibility to move forward with that person. That's one.
Well put. I like that.
Very beautifully
What a
said.
poet. What a poet.
Can I ask my question right now?
No. My next question is...
She's not giving me a chance today because she knows I can ask you those questions later on. But the
Datev, do you-
people need to hear it.
Okay, go ahead. She's going to cry
It's
the
okay,
whole
it's okay.
next
I
week
just kind of.
and complain. Do you have phobias? This
Not
will be
really.
my last question, Rina, and then you can ask anything in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Not really, no.
No?
I don't think so.
Okay, Rina, it's your minute of fame.
Okay, I 2 questions in a question, I guess.
All right.
When you leave Armenia, what will you take back with you?
Us.
This
A
is
lot
one.
of memories, a lot of thoughts, a lot of experiences, and some souvenirs. And mostly for other people, you know. I don't take things for me generally. I don't need stuff. I operate differently.
I guess she meant non-material
Yeah.
things.
I will take the biggest thing that concerns me. I don't want to take only concerns because there's much more. But let's talk about that first. Is the integration, because it's a big social issue for me. I'm interested in this issue. So I'd love to somehow figure out, even being away, what's going on here. With
We'll
the
let you
integration.
know.
Yeah.
And
yes,
when you
Rena,
come back,
he will miss you, okay?
I
Is
know
this what
that.
you were trying to...
No, I don't need to ask him that.
I'm pretty sure that
And
this
when
is
you
what
come
it
back-
was.
It's okay. It's a phone call, you know.
No, I wanted to see, when you come back, what will you bring with you to this country? You come back for a visit.
For a visit?
Yeah.
I'll just bring me and
Lots of love.
a lot of, as much as I can, the wide eyes to watch and learn and to see what's going on.
And right now, I'm bringing you guys the bad news of the ending of our show. Ta-da! Datev, thanks for being with us.
Sure, my pleasure. It's been fun.
It was I enjoyed this chat.
Yeah, you guys were fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rena. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. Continue the good work, and you're part of the transformation of this city. So do it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You, and hope we'll see you soon again here
Yeah, I
in
hope so.
Armenia. And why not in our studio
Yeah.
with good news, new projects,
Maybe.
and new revelations.
Maybe.
This was Homesick at Home, our English-speaking show. We'll meet with you guys next Friday. And if you missed this show, you can go ahead and watch the video and find it soon on our website and our Facebook page. Have a great Friday night and amazing weekend.
Enjoy it. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye, everyone.